How's it going, everybody? Tactard Ted. It is the 27th of December, 2022. We are getting the month down to zero. We're going to be hitting 2023 here in just another few days. So what am I going to talk about? Well, in my last video, I talked about how I don't think that the West has figured the whole Putin thing out. Nope. They hate Putin. They love to hate Putin. Putin's the boogeyman. Putin is the Dr. Evil of a modern age. They want Putin gone. They want Putin replaced. They want Putin replaced. They got to have Putin replaced. Putin's got to be gone. Gone. If Russia wants to survive, Putin's got to be gone. So here's my question for all you people out there who are good little Westerners, good little Americans, and buy into the whole media narrative. Who are you going to replace Putin with? This is a real question. Who are you going to replace Putin with? Khodorkovsky? Navalny? No, those folks aren't names that are going to be trusted in Russia. Let me tell you the real names out there who have the opportunity or the likelihood to replace Putin. My picks. These may not be your picks. For those of you who study Russian politics, I know I'm going to miss a few of the prominent folks. But I just mainly want to illustrate where everything is. So, in my summation, who's most likely to replace Vladimir Putin as president of the Russian Federation? Might be a name you've heard before. Dmitry Medvedev. He was actually president of the Russian Federation between Putin's third and fourth terms, I believe it was. He had been prime minister under Putin, and then when Putin's time was up, Medvedev ran for president, and Putin became prime minister. Interesting things that happened under Medvedev's watch were like the 2008 conflict in Georgia, which we could go into a whole big discussion about that, and why I don't believe that whole deal gets a fair shake or a fair shade in the West. But as of late, Medvedev, who's a big Deep Purple fan, by the way, for those of you who know boxing, yeah, I know a little bit about Dmitry Medvedev. As of late, he has been involved in the government, has a lot to do with, basically, every time you turn around, Medvedev has something very inflammatory to say about the West, or very confrontational about the West. There's no doubt that Dmitry Medvedev, at least now, and his Russia United Party, stand very much in contrast to Putin. Medvedev, even by my wife's standard, my wife's Russian, I pull no punches about that. She is Russian-born, American citizen now, and she will tell you that Dmitry Medvedev is too aggressive. Americans aren't used to the aggressiveness that Dmitry Medvedev pushes. Nobody seems to get that. Dmitry Medvedev is very aggressive compared to most of the other politicians. And I believe if you were to replace Putin, that would be the most likely point. And then you're going to have real problems. Because aggressiveness is one thing, but does Medvedev have the patience? Has he learned the diplomacy to back all that aggressiveness up with? And I'm not sure that he has. Another name that keeps getting bantered about is Shoigu. Shoigu is the head of the Russian army. You'll see him on Victory Day. Shoigu is very conservative. And once again, he is far more aggressive than Putin and more confrontational than Putin. Yet he is also likely to be one of the possibilities to replace Putin. Anybody who comes from the Russian military right now, you can forget about any sort of respective dialogue with the West. It would be like I don't know, General Miley or any of these other bootlicks at the Pentagon that we have. You're not going to get a reasonable dialogue with the Russian Federation from anybody who is currently serving at the Pentagon or anything. You know, we've got folks who came out of the Pentagon or came out of high-level positions in the military who've got a little bit of sense about them. Unfortunately, they're not mainstream anymore. A lot of these voices like Douglas McGregor and other folks, they simply aren't allowed to go out in the mainstream and say what they have to say because it doesn't fit the narrative that's being pushed. Yet Putin, you know, I heard this week, Putin's willing to negotiate. That shows his weakness. I think a lot of you people don't remember any damn thing. Something you should remember. This time last year, Putin was begging the West to negotiate. Before this shit even started, Putin was begging for negotiations. Yet there were none. We basically told him to pound sand. Putin was begging for negotiations on the heels of Minsk I and Minsk II, which were negotiated in bad faith, not good faith, not honesty, by Ukraine, France, and Germany, with the full backing of NATO. Angela Merkel, the former head of Germany, has come out and said, we didn't intend for those to be implemented. We just wanted to use it as Ukraine as a chance for them to buy time and arm up. Folks, that's not working in good faith. That is not negotiating in good faith. What that is very simply lying to the guy sitting across the table from you. And even after the West, the collective West, had lied to Putin on two separate occasions, he still was willing this time last year, damn near 2 months before the ground operations in Ukraine kicked off, he was willing to negotiate. A month after the war started, he was willing to negotiate. In fact, he had worked out a deal that Zelensky wanted to sign. And Zelensky was intent on signing until Boris Johnson showed up on his doorstep in Kiev and smacked him on the pee-pee and said, no, you're not going to take that deal. You are not going to take that deal. Here's what's going to happen. We are going to do A, B, and C, and D. And basically the West bullied Zelensky into continuing the war because, well, the West is fully invested in this war. At that point, this war really isn't Zelensky's war. This isn't really Ukraine war. This is a proxy war by the West and by NATO. And when they can come in and demand that the president of Ukraine does not accept a negotiation does not accept a peace deal that is in the best interest of Ukraine, then it's no longer Ukraine's war. Ukraine's not calling the shots. Let's face it, Boris Johnson, Joe Biden, the U.S. State Department, Great Britain, those folks are the ones calling the shots here. Jens Stoltenberg, commander of NATO, those are the folks that are calling the fucking shots here. And yet, Putin doesn't back down, doesn't knuckle under. In fact, I don't know if any of y'all watched what was going on in Ukraine today. Putin gave Zelensky an ultimatum to end the war. Once that expired, Putin ramped it up across the front, attacking Ukrainian positions, as he should, to kind of remind them that they were given the opportunity to stand down. They were given an opportunity for peace in the region. I don't know that Medvedev or Shoigu or even any of the other likely successors to Putin would be so inclined not to just start a full mobilization. A full mobilization. At that point, the West really shits their pants. You know, I just love Russia's running out of A, Russia's running out of B, Russia's running out of C. Russia's running out of this, they're running out of the other. They don't have the industrial capacity to manufacture this stuff. The only countries I see running out of anything are Ukraine and the NATO countries that have now placed their own security at risk by giving away so much of their shit. Let me tell you what, I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. And I'm the kind of guy, I like to have a lot of ammunition around. Now, let's say that we're in the midst of the big gun buying frenzy that went on a year or so ago. And my neighbor came to me and said, "Hey, Dave, I just bought a 9mm pistol and I can't get ammo for it. I can't get ammo for it." Well, I'm the type of guy, I'll open up my gun safe. I'll see what I got. I know that I have X. X is the amount of ammunition that I will not allow my supply to go under. Okay? So I'll look above my X number. And let's say I got 400 or 500 rounds above that X number. Well, I give them 200-300 rounds. Hell, I may give them all of it. But I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to go below X, because X is what I got to have. And unfortunately, a lot of these NATO supply dumps immediately went to half of what they had for X. Then they went down to X, and now they're digging in past X. They're going down to nothing, down to bare necessities. And yet, Putin has signed Defense After Defense Act and other necessary legislation. And Russia still continues to produce missiles, artillery, and everything they need. Plus, they haven't ran out. They're still taking the fight to the Ukrainians. Today was a good example. They started doing heavy counter battery fire and basically worked over some Ukrainian artillery positions. But anyhow, folks, that's what I got for today. I want you guys to sit down and think, well, how much do you know about Russia? Who exactly are we going to replace Putin with? These are all valid questions. They're all questions you should be asking yourself before you want to throw Putin out onto wherever and see him replaced. Anyhow, I'll talk to you